We have a 7 tradition that states every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. We'll see that the basket makes its way around. We appreciate it. This is a weekly STEP meeting. Our format is as follows. A speaker is asked to talk for 25 to 30 minutes on the STEP of that week, followed by discussion or questions until 7 p.m. You can find these weekly meetings on our YouTube page. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share. I like that. Smash. It brings us to the speaker portion of the meeting on this day of April 8th. 2024 in Doylestown, PA at the Monday night 6 p.m. Stay Alive Literature and Step Group at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Tonight's speaker is Matt, and Matt will be sharing his experience on Step 11. Please help me welcome Matt.
All right, man. I'm Matt. I'm alcoholic.
Hi, Matt.
I already got a resentment because Brian told me 20 to 30 minutes. Now he just said in the format it's 25 to 30. So he just added an extra 5 on there. All right. Yeah, I'm Matt. I'm an alcoholic. Step 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with God. Praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. I wouldn't have been able to make any conscious contact with God unless, like I'd gone through the first 10 steps, or had gone through the steps, right? And I could say for myself, when I came into the rooms this last time, I'm not a first-time person entering the rooms. I'm not a one-time wonder, and I came in at 135 pounds. I was homeless. I was unemployed. I had no relationship with my family. I was broke. And that was through no power of my own that, like, I'm sitting here today, and I can recognize that now, but my first admission was like, I don't want to get into all that, but I could look back on my life and I could see that I was absolutely powerless. I had a body that, once I put one in me, I couldn't stop, and I had a mind that once I was stopped, it told me I had to have another one, and I just continued to stop for a period of time, and I wasn't able to deal with life as it was, whether it was good, it was bad. I just wasn't able to deal with it without picking up again. And this time when I came in, I really got with some people who understood exactly what I was suffering from, and they explained to me the insanity, and I really think I was just beaten into a state of reasonableness with this last one that I was on, and I was just kind of willing to do anything they said. I remember at age 19, I made the decision. So my mom died suddenly at age 19, unexpectedly, and I had never had any big resentments against God. I did believe that there was something out there, although I did not act like it. I acted like I was, the highest power, but I would state that I will believe that something out there. And she died unexpectedly, and I remember thinking, going to her church service and everything, and just thinking that, this is all a coping mechanism, and that's kind of the way I looked at it, So yeah, I acted on my own accord. I acted, as if I ran everything. I ran you, I ran me, and nothing really ended up the way that I had planned for it to work out. It's because I was powerless, and really that's all I went after. I thought that would make me feel the best. So I came in here and I listened to what other people did before me, and I started going through this process. And so I want to skip ahead to like step 3, and step 3 is where in the big book is like really where they start getting into what I suffer from and what is like the root of my troubles, and it's selfish and self-centeredness. So I started that, looking into that right in the book, and made that decision to go through with the rest of the steps. I got on my knees with my sponsor, and it was on like, so I wrote my step 4 list, and I start seeing these patterns in my life. But it wasn't until I went on with step 5 that I was able to sit down with another human being who had been living this way for a little bit longer than I have, and he was able to broaden my perspective on these things, and that's exactly what he did. He was able to point out different things to me that I wasn't able to see. With my resentments, with my fears, with my sex conduct, he was able to point these things out. And I know in the book they described that like feeling like a big weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and to be honest, I didn't feel that at the time, but I did feel like I finally had somebody in my life that understood me and understood what I was going through, and I finally felt like I could really make connections with people, because I had these walls up my whole life. But this is the first time for me that I had just bared it all, right? And but I will say that I did go back and I did do the hour of meditation in quiet, phone off, door shut. I live in a recovery house, so it was a sign on the door, don't knock. And like after that, I can say that like I did feel something. I didn't feel like I felt like I was at more peace with myself. Which is really like what I've been looking for my whole life. And I got into steps 6 and 7, and he helped me with that also, and like identifying some of my character defects, and giving them to God, going out in the world and praying about like these things that I saw in my life in step 4, and talking about him with step 5, and trying to walk this walk. Like he always tells me that this is not like doing the steps out of the book. This is not doing the steps off of a wall. No, it is doing the steps out of the book. It's not like doing them off of a wall, right? And like before they had this book, it was just a way of life. Like we lived this. So like that's what I tried to do. I tried to go out in the world. I would get up in the morning, I would give it to God, and I would go out in the world. And then I did my 8 harms to others. I did the ideals list for like a perfect relationship, and like I had all these things on there, and it was he pointed it out to me that it was now you go live like that. And I could see that like I was never this person. I was never the person that specifically for like a relationship that I would even want to be with, right? So I started living in this way, and I went out in the world and I started making amends, and and then it gets into step 10, and it says like in step 10, this is to grow in understanding and effectiveness of like what God's will is for me, kind of, and like how I can be of service to other people, and go through my day and like keep an eye out for like fears, resentment, selfishness, and for me, and starting to live this way, I could see maybe my 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 baseline started to get like a little bit better, because like I have been through this amount of growth in this amount of time, and I had other people around me that were living a certain type of way, so my baseline started to get a little bit better. But I can say that like my 10th step is extremely weak without doing my 11th step. You know, the 11th step prayer meditation, you know, in the big book, it says that it includes the nightly inventory and the on awakening. And I would say, you know, when I first started doing it, I was very consistent with it. And I will go through my questions at nighttime, basically the same things that I'm supposed to look out at my day for. But in the daytime, I get caught up a lot in like the busyness of life. And, you know, I'll kind of just go through my day, you know, and maybe here, maybe like I'll hurt Brian, and like maybe like I'll just move on to the next thing, or maybe I'll make amends, you know. It kind of depended how my day was going, and it still kind of does. Like, it depends how my day is going, whether I can make that right there, or whether I recognize this resentment right now, or whether I recognize this fear right now. And, you know, the 11th step for me is like this safety net where if I didn't recognize it during the day, then I could really review my day at nighttime, and I could catch that stuff, you know, and I kind of go through like, you know, was I resentful, right? And like I'll go through my whole day, kind of like a play-by-play type of deal. Was I selfish? You know, stuff like that, you know. Do I owe an apology? You know, I'll go through like my whole day, and it really helps me to bring that into the next morning, into on awakening, kind of because I know like if I'm going into my next day and I know I got work that day, and I know I had all this selfishness at work the day before because something was going on, you know, or fears or whatever, then I know that that's gonna, I need to look out for that, you know, during my day. And there was a big gap in time, there was probably about like 6 or 7 months when I was very, very inconsistent with my step 11 stuff. And most recently, a few weeks ago, I ran into some issues at work, and you know, it talks about in the book how like we're driven by 1,000 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-pity, and I let fear absolutely drive me. And you know, I was doing things that were just totally uncharacteristic with the way that I'm living today. I was calling out of work. You know, I'm a runner by nature, so if I get feared up about something, I'll look for another job. You know, and you know, I talked with some people about it. I talked with my sponsor about it, and like, I didn't recognize it at the time that it was fear-based, but it absolutely was, and it just made me dive into this, like, because I remember that line in the book, like, I'm driven by 1,000 forms of fear. Like, I don't choose where, like, I know that I shouldn't be calling out of work because of this, but like, it happens because I'm driven by it, you know. And I started getting back into like the step 11 and on awakening and thinking about my day ahead. And, you know, I know, you know, it talks about like we have a daily reprieve, and this stuff, you know, it not only do I believe what's in the book, so I believe that I have to do the things in the book, and it says that, it says that I have to grow, right? My spiritual life has to grow. I can't think of the quote off the top of my head, but it says, like, I have to grow spiritually or I will not be able to withstand, like, the trials and low spots ahead. And it says that. And it also says that I have a daily reprieve. So it's like, either I'm doing this stuff on a daily basis or I'm not. And if I'm not looking for selfishness, resentment, fear, looking to make amends to the people that I've hurt on a daily basis and throughout my day, and I'm just kind of like going through my day, I've proved to myself time and time again that those things are going to crop up and they're going to drive me. Like, I have no control over which way that's going to go if I'm not maintaining, like, if I'm not in fit spiritual ground like that day. I do not. And I've proved that over and over to myself until, like, I finally just, like, I guess gave in to, like, what the book says, and, like, I have to do this every day. And like, I'm I don't know what's going to happen a year from now. I hope that I'm still doing it every day, but from right now, like, I have to take this back to, like, the basics. And it's like, I'm absolutely powerless over a drink if I'm not on, like, taking care of my spiritual maintenance day by day. So yeah, I started to do this every day, and for my personal life, it's really kind of like lit a new fire kind of under me for the program, because for a while I could see that, like, I was kind of like just making meetings, and I wasn't doing things for others, like I was when I was originally doing it. And, like, on days when I'm not thinking so much about myself, I go into, like, my step 11, and it's like, it's decent. Of, like, things happen here and there. I feel like I'm always going to be a little bit selfish. Like, I'm always going to catch something. I have to catch something. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect by any means, but, like, if I'm not thinking about myself, and I'm thinking of how I could be in service, or I'm being in service to others, and I'm praying throughout my day, and I'm to make sure I'm taking that time out in the morning, I make sure I'm taking that time out at nighttime to do the stuff that it talks about in the book, my days go pretty well. Because I stop thinking about myself so much. And it's really, like, catapulted me into, like, some other things in life, like organizing my life a little bit more, and, like, knocking stuff off of my to-do list, because I used to be like, think about my day ahead, and it used to be like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do from 3 to 8 p.m. So, like, I'll just take that as it comes. And, today I pretty much have, like, a decent schedule where I leave a little bit of free time for myself. Not that, I just kind of fill up my free time with, like, things that are productive, like knocking stuff off of my to-do list, maybe reading a little bit, and I'll kind of schedule that stuff out so I know exactly what my day looks like, and I understand that, things are going to pop up throughout the day, and there's also direction for that, right? And it's like step 11, like there comes times in the day, I can't quote it exactly, but where I'm faced with, like, indecision, and like, I turn to God for it, right? And I ask him what the correct course of action is to be taken. And then the last thing that I want to touch on is in the nightly review, right? Because at the end where it talks about, like, we're careful not to go into morbid reflection, because it will stand in the way of our usefulness to others. And I feel like that, like the growing and I'm starting to understand God's will more and more every day, and I'm starting to understand and see my selfishness in my daily life. You know, something that my eyes were never open to before I went through this process. And like today, I just feel like, you know, God's will for me, a lot of it is like kind of just like go out in the world, and no matter where I go, whether it's an AA meeting, whether it's work, whether it's with family, whether it's with friends, whatever, where I live, go out and just like try to help somebody else. And like stop thinking about yourself so much, because as soon as I start thinking about myself, then like things start taking a little bit of turn for the worse for me. Yeah, I don't know. Is that 25 minutes, Brian?
I think you got it, man.
Don't go
Pretty
past
good.
it.
That's good.
There's a penalty.
That was good.
Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for letting me share. Thanks for having me on.
Incredible stuff, Matt. We appreciate you coming out. At this time, we'll open up the meeting for sharing. Please limit your sharing to 3 minutes. Please keep your shares related to the step. If you feel like drinking or if you've had a drink today, please see me or speak to someone after the meeting. We ask that you please refrain from the use of profanity, as we are on a church, or in a church, and on a spiritual journey. And with that, I will open up the meeting to you guys. Whoever wants to share.
Oh, damn.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everybody. My name's Caroline.